Welcome back to Red Hot Wrestling. Today we'll be looking at 5 reasons why AEW should fire CM Punk and 5 reasons why they shouldn't by Wrestle Talk. I'm very interested to see what they say and what the 5 reasons are for each. I will have my say as well. AEW should definitely not fire CM Punk, but there might be reasons why they should. We'll see what he has to say. I'd love to see. I'll add my input what I think. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, let's jump straight into the video.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? A YouTube list about CM Punk's backstage antics in AEW and his personality. Clashes with other talent. It's been one big week for one Bill Phil, with his AEW antics taking center stage like it's September 22 all over again, but this time it feels different. Dan Layton and I did a two-hour podcast about him this week, and the mood in the room of the live chat was different. So let's talk about it. Here are 5 reasons why CM Punk should be fired from AEW and 5 why he shouldn't. If you don't want me to get fired, I'd press that subscribe button. Ollie Davis demands it. He should be fired because he's causing backstage issues, reportedly. While it's hard to ever truly know what's going on behind the scenes in a wrestling company, there seems to be 2 prevailing narratives. Number 1, CM Punk is a locker room cancer, self-centered, fragile ego, stubborn, destructive personality destroying AEW within. Or number B, CM Punk is a locker room leader, helping young talent, business-orientated, driven, and seeing AEW continue to grow. While there are prominent voices in the industry that would describe Punk as either A or B, the same can be said for the tribalistic wrestling fans of 2023, with the ones in Camp A being really loud about it. Case in point, last weekend, and his out-the-blue shoot-style comments on Hangman Adam Page, the only member of the Elite Quartet that...
Yeah, in terms of Punk being a locker room cancer or being a locker room leader, I think he's a cancer. You hear it from enough people, and from what I've heard, obviously from people that work in WWE, he's an interesting dude, and I think he can be a cancer, but I do think he is willing to help young stars. Look at Collision, like Ricky Starks. I think he's probably helping, but I do think he has a massive ego that can cause problems. So I think it's about 50-50 with him. He can be a locker room cancer, but he can help young talent. He's a weird cat, CM Punk. So yeah. It's kind of, and also in terms of the AEW drama, I think it was the Young Bucks and Omega and Hangman. When CM Punk said Hangman went into business for himself when he cut a promo and was in a feud with Punk, I have no idea what that promo was. I still to this day, I've always told myself I'm going to go back and watch it and understand why Punk said Hangman went into business for himself, but I don't know. But then when you hear what happened and the Young Bucks starting rumors about Punk trying to fire, Cassius Ohno? I don't know. But trying to get people fired and just the rumors they tried to spread about Punk. And it was legitimately, I think the real cancer is the EVPs, coincidentally, who are supposed to have AEW's best interest, but all they really care about is themselves and making themselves look the best. That's why they will always go over. And they're really selfish people. I don't like them, especially the Young Bucks. They're like the brains of the operation. I don't think Omega is smart enough to understand how to, manipulate Tony Khan, because the Young Bucks, that's what they do. They manipulate the mark, who really shouldn't be running a wrestling promotion. So yeah, the Young Bucks, I think, are the real problem in terms of this whole Punk thing. They are the locker room cancer, and yeah.
That he's allowed to talk about. Reportedly, Punk regrets these comments and was just talking smack about Page and the Elite in order to facilitate an on-screen angle. But regardless of intent, it made news come out that several other names had actually been banned from coming to Collision, including Elite-friendly names like Ryan Nemeth and Matt Hardy, and even head of talent relations Christopher Daniels. Now, it's never been said that it was CM Punk that banned these people, but the scuttlebutt is it was CM Punk that banned these people, and then there was a story in the week that he also had a heated or civil discussion, based on whoever you believe, with Jack Perry about his work ethic. But he shouldn't be fired because he's a draw. Now, as much as Punk's...
He was a draw. And again, the Young Bucks ruined all the momentum Punk was drawing for Dynamite, getting him over a million viewers, because it wasn't they want to start the show anymore. It wasn't revolved around them. They were actual stars like CM Punk that came in, and they didn't like that because it wasn't them. So they started spreading rumors about Punk, and to really ruin his name backstage and just in the media. So they just started spreading rumors because they want the draw, they want the stars. It was Punk. He was the draw, but I don't think it's a draw anymore. Even when he came back on Dynamite, the ratings didn't really like. There was when he came back, there was a Dynamite where he came back to help, I think, the Hardys and FTR, and that same week it was Rollins defending the title against Braun Breaker, and he drawed more viewers for NXT than Punk did for Dynamite. So, and I think it was in Chicago. The Dynamite show was in Chicago. So I don't think it's a draw anymore. The momentum's gone, and as much as I think they should keep Punk, I don't really think him being a draw helps, because it's not like Collision is drawing great viewerships, and even if he's on Dynamite, it doesn't draw great viewerships. The real draw is MJF, Adam Cole right now. Those two are the real draws.
Detractors would hate to admit it, the guy is one of, if not the biggest name in AEW. There really is nobody else you could justify giving an entire new show to than CM Punk. It's even been reported that Collision only got the green light because of Punk, in the same way that Fox agreed to air SmackDown because WWE promised they'd get Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey on the show, and why Roman Reigns remains on SmackDown to this day. Punk does move merch. Punk does sell tickets. He's been involved in marquee spots in the company's 4 highest grossing pay-per-view shows ever, and has gotten Dynamite over that 1 million viewer mark on multiple occasions, something it doesn't do very often. He also just has a massive understanding for the business and what it takes to create both compelling matches and long-term engaging stories, leading to better viewership, pay-per-view buys, and the like. Punk is most certainly a valuable asset from a business point of view. Heck, David Zaslav didn't bestow the One Bill Phil moniker on him willy-nilly. Without Punk, there wouldn't be a Collision, and there wouldn't be the big money for All Elite Wrestling and the rest of the talent that comes along with it. Tony knows it, Punk knows it. Unfortunately, that can be a scary amount of leverage for one man. But maybe he should be fired, because is he really a draw? While AEW was doing its biggest business on TV and pay-per-view throughout Punk's AEW honeymoon period between All Out 2021 and 2022, one could argue that the bloom may have come off the rose since his initial return.
Exactly. And it has. That honeymoon period that he talked about was the thing. He was getting them over a million viewers. I think the first Rampage show did over 1 million with Punk on it. That has since, obviously, we know what that is now. But yeah, he used to be. I don't think it's a draw anymore. I genuinely don't. MJF is the draw. He's the high point of Dynamite. When he went to Collision, him and Adam Cole were the high point of Collision in terms of the ratings and the key demo. So,
while Collision's viewership has been pretty solid for the most part, I think some expected more from the only show you can see the Second City Saint do the graps. Admittedly, that Saturday night time slot definitely isn't helping matters in Punk's defense. Stiff competition from other sports, and more devastatingly, SummerSlam really did hurt the idea that Punk is a ratings draw. Now, Tony Khan is infamously a numbers guy first, and only he will truly be able to know whether Punk's drawing power is worth all the...
Is he a numbers guy? Because, well, when you look at Plumber Moxley and the Young Bucks, when especially towards the Blood and Guts nonsense. They were drawing the lowest viewerships on the show when they were in the main event, and they stupid segments that made no sense with the BBC, the BCC, and the Cucamonga Kids and all those guys. So is he a numbers guy? I don't think so, because when you look at some of the stuff that doesn't do well and that loses viewerships, it's the stuff that stays and is constantly on the show when he's booking it. So that's interesting.
Extra baggage that comes with him. But if Punk's luster does begin to wear and all you're getting is negative press and backstage drama after you went to all the efforts to essentially create CM Punk's Saturday Night Slam, then maybe it's probably wise to cut ties, Tony. But he shouldn't be fired because he has a special aura like no one else. While many things can be disputed about Punk, he really is among a rare breed that just captivates people. Whether that's on the microphone, in the ring, hell, even on commentary, nobody can... Oh, sorry, I think that's been played out by this point, but you get my point. Punk can outshine about 98% of pro wrestlers currently and historically in many regards. That aura he naturally carries with him, it's hard to describe. Ironically, as someone who played a cult leader during his straight edge society days, Punk does have that kind of energy, which is why, love him or hate him, he always draws emotion. While all of this may come across a little bit like Michael Cole talking about 2010's John Cena, it's true. Why else do you think in the 7 years that he was away from the wrestling business, all anyone could ask was, where's CM Punk, like he's an actual real-life Poochie? I know it's messy sometimes having him about, but it's kind of worth it for those moments, like when he was sat across from Malachi Black and the crowd went ape shit. He's just got it, man. But he should be fired because he's overshadowing good stuff like All In. As much as Punk antics are always the news story in the world of pro wrestling, it doesn't half get exhausting seeing yet another YouTube video about CM Punk. Oh, I mean, yeah, I do see the irony here. Yeah, maybe we're just feeding the problem. Maybe I should be discussing something else. There's a ton of great wrestling out there and plenty to be excited about in AEW, WWE, and beyond. Most notably for AEW is, oh yeah, only the biggest wrestling event on Western Shores of all freaking time on August 27th. All In is a truly momentous occasion for professional wrestling. If it was WWE, you'd bet your bottom dollar it would have been plugged to high heaven ad nauseum. AEW are just a week away from 80,000 people packing into Wembley Stadium for their first ever outside of North America pay-per-view. Yet, with one post-show promo that wasn't even on TV or canon, it just feels like a whole new can of worms has been opened up once again. This horrendous timing has become something of a habit in the year-long Punk Elite saga. Just when the company starts to take positive strides, Punk, it seems, sticks his foot in his mouth and the whole company takes many steps back. But he shouldn't be fired because he is getting people talking about AEW. Look, Punk's behavior does get tiring on fans and likely tons as well, at the very least when Punk is around, but AEW is more on the lips now than ever before. Bad press is better than no press after all. Right? While that is debatable, as mentioned, Punk is a rare breed of performer that fans will follow, regardless of company, heck, regardless of sport. Just look at his time in UFC. The guy brought a ton of new eyes. Whether he won or lost, the fact that it was him made that fight must-see. That's why, as baffling as it seemed, splitting the roster to have Punk and his friends on Collision and the Elite and their friends is starting to seem like a shrewd move, albeit one that has serious long-term question marks. See, having Punk around, in whatever role, is always going to be better from a business and publicity standpoint than not having him there, because guess what? Wherever Punk ends up, he's going to take his fans with him. Yes, many of Punk's fans would watch AEW anyway, but the disillusioned fan, who perhaps was only brought back into wrestling because of Punk and his pipe bomb, may have only truly begun tuning into AEW because of Phil in the first place. So Tony knows that in order to ensure that those fans that fit that bill stay put and keep watching, you gotta keep Punk involved. But he should be fired because that talk reflects poorly on Tony Khan and AEW. 2022 All Out Press Conference truly was a moment in time, providing memorable quotes, a boatload of exposure for Mindy's Bakery in Chicago, and Tony Khan displaying every single human emotion in just under half an hour. Denise Salcedo uploaded that press conference has 1.7 million views on it. That's incredible. While the words coming out of Punk's mouth are still as jaw-dropping now as they were in September, both then and now, it's hard to not feel bad for Tony. It made him look powerless, like the everything is fine meme.
I don't feel bad for Tony because he just shouldn't be doing this. He shouldn't be a promoter, shouldn't be a booker. he's good at that. You look at pay-per-view buys and pay-per-view ticket sales, it does well. So in terms of promoting the product, he's not a bad promoter. He's just a bad booker. He shouldn't run a wrestling company. But I don't feel bad for Tony at all. I don't. It's just the market that shouldn't be doing this.
Tony could only sit back and just watch the next 9 months flash before his eyes. While it sounds harsh, a Vince McMahon or a Triple H would never have let Punk do what he did. So this immediately
Yeah, could never. Never. WWE, never. It's because, again, one of the biggest problems with AEW is that most people can do whatever the fuck they want. They really can, with zero to almost no repercussions, because Tony just wants to be friends with everybody and he's soft. He should not be running this.
reflects poorly upon Khan's leadership and authority. But the fact is, Punk should never have put Khan in such a spot in the first place. In fact, Punk has apologized for putting him in that position. Then, ever since that fateful day until June 17th when Punk re-emerged on TV, Khan was forced to hear questions about Punk, respond to reports, all while trying to run a business, contrary to what Punk said at the presser. And with the reports that Punk has the power to block people from coming to the building, you then have fans asking, who really is in charge around here? That's also not a good look for Tony, and it ain't a good look for AEW in a month where they've already had other bad press over the Lufisto comments. And even now with Punk back on our screens, this talk remains. The topic just shifts. Bottom line is, it's always usually in relation to Punk and what he said or what he's done. But
since 2017, thousands of South African
fire him because, let's face it, we all want to see CM Punk versus Kenny Omega.
I don't.
As much as it seems unlikely right now in the wake of his anti-Hangman comments, I think it's safe to say that many of us still believe that eventually Punk and the Elite will work something out. They can at least, coexist.
They won't.
Right? This is pro wrestling after all. If I had a nickel for how many times a so-called impossible occurrence happened in this wacky world, I'd have, I don't know, $5 or something. We don't have nickels here and I don't know what they are. Are dollars even real currency? Even though the current reports suggest that Punk wants to feud but the Elite don't, there may, at the very least, be one man in the group who will, and that man is Kenny Omega. While the Bucks and Hangman don't seem keen, Omega and Punk reportedly did talk immediately following Brawl Out, with Punk supposedly having no beef with the cleaner. Now, whether Omega feels the same following the latest development remains to be seen. However, it does seem marginally possible. Even after the bad stuff that came from Brawl Out, I, as a wrestling fan who loves wrestling, am starting to fantasy book that stare down between Punk and Omega. I'm doing it right now. I pitched for them to do it all in on a podcast recently, and while that marginal possibility exists, I'm afraid you're just gonna have to keep him around, Tony. Ignore all of the shoulds on this list. Shh, close your ears. But you probably should fire him because it's exhausting talking about CM Punk. Alright, I lied. Open your ears just one more time, because for fans, journalists, talent, everyone, endlessly talking about or hearing about what Punk has said or done this time is incredibly exhausting. So much so that I think some have tuned out. All the talk of will he come back, will he rip up his AEW contract, will he face the Elite, will he apologize, will he invite Hangman for a tea party? Unfortunately, the constant narrative surrounding Punk has naturally seen his stock fall in many eyes. People are exhausted. Look at the numbers on the Rest Talk news videos about Brawl Out and look at the ones about the latest drama. It's night and day. Now, it's up for debate how much of this can be attributed to Punk himself and just how much of the finger points are wrestling journalism or how tired wrestling fans are about hearing about backstage antics. But however, due to Punk's status and controversial actions, we, like many others, have to talk about him. But everything and everyone has its limits, and you've just got to ask, when is enough and when's it time for a change? When does Punk fatigue drain every last fibre from our being where we physically cannot click on another Punk story or force ourselves to even tune into Collision, heaven forbid? And maybe some people are not far off. But he shouldn't be fired, because it's not nice to wish someone gets fired just so you can make a wrestling YouTube list. Plus, we'll still be talking about CM Punk even if he does leave. Look, for our last entry, I want to make it clear that nobody here at Rest Talk or Parts of Unknown actually wishes for Punk to get the sack. That would be a crappy thing to do, especially all for the sake of a YouTube list. So no, as I conveyed in the shouldn't entries, I do think there are plenty of reasons to want Punk to stick around for Fans for Talent and for Tony Khan. Hopefully, the should entries on this list are just temporary issues and things do calm down again once and for all. We'll get the Elite versus CMFTR and everyone rides off into the sunset, neatly stacked on top of Hangman Page's horse like one big, warm, loving Jenga tower, counting their cash while we as wrestling fans get to enjoy a banging match. And you know what? Even if AEW did let Punk go, we and everyone else will undoubtedly follow him to the ends of the earth and report every single last Instagram story he posts. So yeah, rest easy, Phil. We've come too far now to stop. CM Punk return confirmed, etc. But that's our list, and if you want something more WWE related with your list type activities, why not watch Peak Countdown all the things that WWE did wrong with SummerSlam? Jam that Summer Jam!
Well, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Punk shouldn't be fired. I don't think he should be fired, but there definitely are reasons why you could fire him. And one thing about Punk is there will always be something happening backstage in terms of drama, or some reports, and yeah, it has taken away from all in terms of nobody, like most of the chat on YouTube in terms of wrestling content is about Punk and the drama backstage and the thing with Jack Perry and all this other stuff. Punk. Nobody talks about All In. And to be fair to Punk, why would you talk about All In? Besides it being the biggest wrestling show of all time, in terms of how many people are going to be in the stadium, what is there to talk about? What is there to get excited about? It's matches that have been clunked together that nobody gives a damn about, and yeah, like there's nothing to get excited about that show, and yeah. So to be fair to Punk, is there really any to talk about it besides it being like the biggest show, um, the biggest show of all time in terms of how many people are gonna be in the stadium? No, there's no match that's marquee. Yeah, that match right there, that's the match. That's the match. No, so yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, share your thoughts on Punk and the whole AEW drama, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.